Hello and welcome to episode 111 of Nintendo Therapy, a show about the latest Nintendo news and rumors, as well as a celebration of all things Nintendo. Happy 8 years of Nintendo Switch, Harrison. We'll
Happy
get right
Mario Day
into
to
it.
you. I'm
Yeah.
here.
Oh, yeah.
Sean's not
Mario
here
Day's
this week.
coming.
It's a twofer this week. It's just me and Kevin, listeners, and you're the third one with us today. I hope you're well. And if you're a new listener, we appreciate you here. If you're an old listener, we appreciate you here. We're trying to grow small, we're trying to grow incrementally. If you're on YouTube, get us to 200 subscribers, get us to 300 subscribers. That's what we're trying to do. Let's build this together. And yeah, let's have fun today. The QR code's not here, but you'll see it throughout the show. Scan it, find all of our links, and that's my little thing for us today. Now let me find where I put
So
our go
while
ahead.
you're looking for that, I wanted to read off. I thought this was kind of funny when I saw that it was the Switch's 8-year anniversary. I found this article on thefactsite.com, and thefactsite.com has 9 interesting facts about the Nintendo Switch, and they're all obviously written by people who don't play video games at all. So I thought that was kind of funny. The first one is the Switch is the world's first hybrid console.
Okay.
Kinda. We have things like the Sega Nomad and other things before it, but I get where they're coming from. Okay.
The
The
GameCube.
Switch,
I'm sorry, keep
yeah,
going. I'm sorry, keep going.
the Switch has a built-in Joy-Con finder. We're just listing features, I guess, for trivia facts. Um, Bluetooth controllers mean you have flexibility with play. What do they mean by that? The controller for Switch is known as a Joy-Con. You can connect up to 8 Joy-Cons to one Switch. Another benefit of being Bluetooth. So they just mean you can connect multiple controllers? Every modern system? Okay. Nintendo Labo was specifically made to use with the Switch. It was made. So were every Mario and Zelda game that they made for it. What are you talking about? Mario Odyssey was specifically made to use with the Switch. You could interesting. Um the Switch allows you to see your playtime. It's funny that they have that listed because that's something that people criticize about the Switch is they're like, "Hey, my Xbox lets me see my exact playtime." The Switch actually doesn't. It gives you that route. First off, you have to have the game you have to be active on the game for I think 9 days before it'll even show you. It'll say like under you've played for less than 9 days or something up to that point. And it's got that weird like you've played for over 30 hours. You've played for like it doesn't give you the exact playtime. So that's an interesting one to put on there. What else? You can connect Switch screens. You can. Not a lot of things use it, but you can. I'll give them that. There are 3 different types of Nintendo Switch. The original, the Switch Lite, and the OLED. Fascinating. Okay. So that is clearly an article written by people who do not play video games about facts about the Nintendo Switch.
I have an idea. Um, can you give me the title again? What was the title of that article?
Oh, geez, I just closed the tab. It
9
was
or just give me a
go to
an
history.
an an idea of what
Nine
yeah.
nine interesting facts about the Nintendo Switch from the fact site.
Nintendo Switch. Okay. So, let's see. ChatGPT, please make a sample article called 9 Interesting Facts About the Nintendo Switch. Okay? Here we go. Number 1, it was a complete breakaway from Nintendo's traditional consoles. Number 2, it was designed with mobility in mind. Number 3, it has a surprisingly strong battery life. Number 4, the name Switch was chosen for versatility. Number 5,
These are
it
all
was
more interesting than what this human wrote.
it was a huge success for Nintendo beating the Wii U. I'm gonna stop there. Number 6, stop last one. It runs on a custom NVIDIA Tegra processor. There we go. Okay, that's interesting.
Okay.
Um, and
Yeah.
and actually, and I'm summarizing because it's got an intro, it's got details. Um,
Mhm.
that's just an example of. something that just pulled up in a moment. Okay, so there you go. Like, and I wonder a lot about a lot of that. Of course, if you look around on Nintendo Therapy, you can see that we automate things using AI, including like descriptions and things. But if I ever wrote a Nintendo Therapy article, I would write it. I would use tools to help. I would like use tools to help myself research, perhaps, but I would for sure be writing that because something I've been seeing lately, for example, there's a sports app on my phone. I've had it for 15 years, since 2010, and just recently, it got really bad. The app doesn't work, it doesn't load scores, and, uh, 2 days ago, I got 3 notifications that were all incorrect stats. So now every time I get news from them, I have to think, "Is this right?" Because 'Cause I'm afraid that they're now automating their updates, and I know that, like, if you run things through AI, it can come up incorrect, so you have to, it's not reliable, is what I'm trying to say, and I'm a bit worried, like, that's where a lot of companies are headed, and that's where this whole, like, dead internet theory is headed.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, that's the doomer part of today's episode. So so there you go. All right, I just had to pull up my notes because I closed it out when we transitioned there. What should we talk about first today?
The first thing I want to talk about is an interesting article that's making the rounds about Suikoden 1 and 2 remake, which is out now, and how it could be possibly, they haven't announced anything yet, but the start of them bringing the franchise back. Because when asked why it took so long to finish the remaster, according to producer Rui Neito, uh, quote, I told Sakayama and his team to make something solid because it's the starting point for the IP's reveal. If we were to release a half baked product, then our attempt to revive the series would be over. So they haven't announced anything about like new games coming out, but that definitely implies that's their goal. So that's interesting. And I don't know why more people aren't talking about it.
Well,
Suikoden 1 and 2 aren't the full series, by the way. I'm not an expert on the series, but I remember they at least had a 3. I'm looking up the Wikipedia now. Yep, they had up to 5. So there's 3, 4, and 5 as well that were on the PlayStation 2.
and 5 do you have the year?
5 came out in 2006 for the PlayStation 2 only.
And that's probably why. That's probably why uh we're not talking about it so much. It
Yep.
is that reason. But hopefully they see the state of gaming now and see that as an opportunity to where they think, okay, we can make a pixel art. We could do the same graphics now because those graphics are popular again. Although I don't know what Secret Den 5 looked like, I guess.
I'm gonna have these are on my radar. I'm gonna definitely play them. They've actually been on my like video game to-do list since the originals on PlayStation in the 90s. It's one of those games that my friend in high school, he had them and he loved them, and I just never really had my own file in it. So it's been on my to-do list forever, and I'll finally get to it now. I love RPGs where you can just recruit a crazy amount of characters into your party, and that's one of them.
JRPG community is so intense. And I don't know where all that time comes from. It came up talking with Momo on my podcast this week about like uh JRPGs demand so much time, and it seems like it's a community that will never become oversaturated. If anything, it's a
Mm.
company that seems like it's like just give us more. Which is like, that's how I feel about the NBA community, like the basketball community, where, like, there's so much content out there, but at the same time, fans just eat it up and just say, "We want more of it. We want different mediums. We want different breakdowns. We just want different types of content for us." So, I think, if they're looking at an install base like the Switch, then they could survive just on that install base if they wanted to release a new game, but they would be releasing on Steam, they'd be releasing on PlayStation, yeah, everything else, I'm sure.
So there's 108 characters you can recruit to your party and Suikoden 2. Um, that always every time I think of that, it makes me want the RPG where just every single NPC in the game has the potential to join your party. I think that would be awesome. Somebody make that.
What was the G I was hearing about yesterday? I'm sure it's a really popular one, but you recruit it's Yakuza. That's it. It's Yakuza.
Mhm.
Where you like recruit people to your team, but then you get like a card, or it's like a it's basically like a Pokemon. You get a Pokédex. That's what it is. You get a Pokédex of all the people that you can recruit, and it's like, well, it's Yakuza, so it's like an adult, really goofy JRPG Pokemon game. I think that's really cool.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I think that's really cool.
You're right,
The
I didn't even think of it that way, but that is the Pokemon mentality of why. Something about that collecting, making a collection nature is why these games are popular. The game I'm playing right now, Chrono Cross, has a ton of recruitable characters too, and it does kind of feel like you're catching the Pokemon.
100% of my Persona friends were Pokemon fans when they were younger. They all just went from, Pokemon, probably JRPGs before that, after that, and into Persona. That's the way they describe it to me. It's like, "Oh, it's awesome. It's like, adult Pokemon." I just never invested the time. I always meant to, play Persona 3.
I've never
Yeah.
played any Persona, but maybe
I
someday.
I hear they're awesome.
Mm,
Yeah,
this is not the Persona podcast, I guess.
yeah, if you a Persona person, just leave us a comment. Tell us we're fake gamers. That's fine. Call us out. You have a Nintendo podcast, but you've never played Xenoblade, never played Fire Emblem. Go ahead. It's all engagement to us. Uh,
And
yeah,
then the other news story from this week that I know you have thoughts on is that Super Soccer is leaving Switch Online this month. So, as far as I know, this is the first game to be removed from the Switch Online service, and hopefully it doesn't start a trend where they start removing other games because it's leaving March 27th. So this is the last month we'll have it. And I I don't know. It's not a good sign. It has like every comment section that's talking about this a buzz with like my least favorite um type of internet conversation when it comes to these things where people argue about like, oh, this is why I buy physical. Like, you know what I mean? It's
mm,
like the way you play your games has its benefits and its problems. Like physical games, you got internal batteries that die, you've got disk rot, even if it doesn't rot, you get scratches on disks. Internal laser eyes fail. Physical has its problems too, is my point. That's all I'm saying. You're using a subscription service, stuff gets removed from the subscription. That's the downside there. If you buy off of like a PlayStation store or a virtual console, when the virtual console goes down, if something happens to that system, you can't get that game anymore. Like every method of buying a game has a drawback unless you're smart enough to be able to like rip the games and digitally back them up on your own. Uh no matter what, there's a problem.
especially nowadays. Especially
Yeah.
nowadays, because so many physical games, you look on the back of the physical game and it says it requires so many gigabytes of internal storage
Mm.
put on upon your system. So, that cart, it means less and less. It just means less and less. And then after stops getting support from the actual hardware, then it yeah, physical games are not gonna mean as much in the future as they did in the past, unfortunately. Thought experiment when it comes to Super Soccer, because, of course, this is not a popular game. Um,
Mhm.
I don't know how worried you are. I'm pretty worried, as far as this goes. I don't think it's an overreaction at all. The amount of feedback we've been seeing online about this. If it was a more popular game, and the example I wrote down, like, if they took off, like, Jet Force Gemini and Killer Instinct, Perfect Dark, or whatever, and we thought, "Okay, perhaps there's a Rare collection coming out. Perhaps they're doing something with Rare on the Virtual Console. Perhaps there's something like that going on." Since it's a smaller game, does it make you more worried, less worried, more confused? How do you feel about it?
More confused is how I'd put it. Like, it's not like they lost the rights to it or something. It's interesting that they haven't told us the reason, you know? Uh, Especially since it would quiet some of our fears if they did of, is this the start of more games being removed? Because it, of course, leads you to think, well, if my first thought was, well, I don't think they'll ever remove any of the major first party titles that are on there. But then I'm like, does maybe they could. Like, you never know. So yeah, I just wish I knew why. I wish they would give us the reason why, and then we could speculate from there if that will ever apply to any other games on there. But it's just really interesting that the service has gone this long. It's been so many years now, and this is the first game they've ever taken off. My money would have been on GoldenEye being taken down first. Like, that was such a big surprise when they were able to use that, because that's two licenses that they had to go through for that. So I really was surprised that they were able to pull that off. And this is such a weird. I don't know. Maybe do they use like real teams in there? Could it have anything to do with that? I don't know.
No. Nope.
No.
Nope, and this would be ridiculous, but even if it was a human entertainment collection, which it would never be that, uh, there NES human entertainment developed games that are already on NSO that would also be taken off the system as well, so, um, my thought is that we're never gonna find out why, and if I have to guess, if I have to speculate, if I have to be a doomer about this, I think this is Nintendo testing the waters to see how can we take things off the system and how are people going to respond, not online, but how many people are going to keep subscribing if we slowly start to take things off of the service? Because it is normal. Xbox does it, PlayStation does it. They all remove games from their service. Xbox does it a lot, in my opinion, but it is a concern since this is the first time it's happened. It's a Nintendo published game, so again, there's no issues there. This worries me a bit, but the last part that I'll speculate is, could this be any more sign towards Virtual Console? Because that's been a talking point for us the last 2 weeks now, is a possible return to Virtual Console in the next system. Of course, always having an online service, that's never going away. What do you think?
Well, according to this random comment I just found in a comment section about this very news article, it yeah, I'll credit them. Max Plastic wrote on NintendoLife.com. I think it's because Spike Chunsoft currently owns the Super Soccer IP, and Katakoya owns Spike Chunsoft, and now Sony owns a majority of Katakoya. So it could have something to do with that.
Okay,
Nobody seems to know for sure, though.
okay, doesn't seem that important. Like,
No.
like
Doesn't seem like they're losing any money by having it on there. Because,
seems
like you
like
said, it's not like they're releasing a collection.
it sounds like a pretty, like, petty thing, like, especially when we've had, Sony licensed games come out in the past, like, couple months. I mean, but I mean, I'll believe anything because again, like, any notes that I took, I'm saying I have no idea. I'm totally lost on it. Again, if it was GoldenEye, I wouldn't even think about it too much. It's just like that's a game I didn't think we'd have on the service. Now it's not on the service, and I hope you had fun, for the year and a half that we had it on the service. So, uh, I don't know. We'll, we'll all be watching it, very closely, obviously, because this created quite a stir, at least in the journalism, social media space. If they were to take off an actual popular game, that's just gonna be even more.
Yeah, I was thinking, and I just thought I'd get your opinion on it live here on the podcast. What do you think about maybe instead of using the randomizer this week, we pull that game just to get it reviewed before it's removed?
That's true. Yeah, it's the first time we have to do that. Yeah. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yep.
Okay,
Had a little.
I thought I lost you for a moment. That's okay. That's taken out in
Yep.
post anyways. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Any pauses are taken out in post anyways. Well, let do it. Okay, it's on the plan before it gets taken off the service, and
Let me
if it
see if I had it paired with anything, because we can do the paired game as well. I think I had it. Oh, I know what it was paired with. Off the top of my head, I think what's it called? Super Soccer,
Super
right?
Soccer. Yeah.
I think I had it paired with there's a game on there called Super Tennis. So let me just check. Where is the randomizer? Randomizer. Here we go. Yeah, it's paired with Super Tennis. So let's just do both of those.
Okay. And if it's the most amazing game ever, Kevin, it's your fault. I'm gonna blame it
So
on
yeah, no random game this week, everybody. I know you all love hearing the Mario Kart sound effect, but
we could have lied to
we had
you.
to, yeah, we
Oh my
had
god.
to, yeah. See, we're
Oh my
honest. We're
god, the
honest here at
randomizer
Nintendo
chose
Family.
Super Soccer. Ah!
We're an honest group of people here. So
Yeah,
tune in next week to hear why you should play that game before it's removed.
that's right. And don't go anywhere because we have more Nintendo news for you right now. Okay,
Hmm,
let's talk about some more speculations then. Uh,
okay.
Game Rant does a great job of patents. Pretty much every time we talk about a patent on this show, it is from Game Rant, usually started by Game Rant. The only thing I want to say is Game Rant, if the patents aren't available online, which I couldn't find this one, just tell the audience like how you got it. Then at least I kind of have an idea. But I believe them. They posted 12 patent photos online, which we have down here, and I don't have any reason to not believe them on this. According to them, Nintendo averages over 270 patents a year. That's surprising for a company that size. And this one might be nothing because it's one of the 270 patents, but it's for sure fun and it relates to a lot of things we've talked about on this show. This patent shows a magnetic connector clip that would go to, I would assume, the top of your Switch. I guess it could be top or bottom.
Yeah.
Let's say top. The possible uses I wrote down, it could be a holder for a smartphone because that's what it looks like. It looks like a smartphone holder that you put on like a bike or on your car. It could be just, like a modular system, some kind of something for the Switch 2. For example, it could be like a mounting system, or it could be a mounting system that you flip over, and it could turn into a stand, although the Switch 2 is already gonna have a really nice kickstand, so I don't know. But it looks like it could be a dual screen holder. Of
I have
course,
a theory.
there's been a lot of attempts at that already, and there's a lot of different ways they could do it. So go ahead. What do you think?
So here's my theory. I've seen they've made le- leaks of clips of this thing that is allegedly an attachment for the Switch 2, which is a second screen that plugs into that USB port on the top of the Switch 2. And people have leaked like a supposed video of this thing being demonstrated. Now, if they decide to do any dual releases and have a game that needs both the screens on the Switch as well as the Switch 2, what if this is just their way of, 'cause, allegedly, this second screen would be sold separately as like Nintendo loves to do their optional peripherals, so it would be like, getting the zapper gun for the Wii or something. It would be an optional second screen. Um, what if this is their way of also giving you that optional second screen for the Switch for games they wanna release on both systems?
So is a second screen, is it just a second screen? They're gonna sell it just as a second screen. Is there any other
I mean,
uses for it?
that isn't involved in anything they've shown, but, like, maybe it could work how you could have the 2 switches talk to each other and work all kinds of different ways, I don't know.
I have no idea. Because you could tell me you could put a second switch on the top. That might be a little bit heavy, but I was
Yeah.
thinking, Nintendo's attempts to incorporate mobile devices into the original Switch have been horrible. They've tried to make it, I think, as a solution to, like, not having voice chat in games, and outside of Animal Crossing, I don't know what other people use it for, but the functionality of it has always been pretty strange, and it's always seemed pretty separated from that. But I mean, you could tell me that the new system is going to have some sort of cloud support where you could use an Android or an iPhone device, iOS device, to use it as a second screen for what? For DS games, for chatting? I don't know. That's the part that I'm not so sure about
Yeah,
what it's going to look like.
it's funny that Nintendo seems, if this is true, let's just assume that this is true. If it's true, it seems that Nintendo is just still obsessed with this idea that people need to have 2 screens going. It worked with the DS, but, like, then the Wii U, it was like none of the developers could come up with a use for the second screen. Everyone did it on the DS because they had to. It was part of how the hardware was built, but with the Wii U, everybody was like, "I don't know, we'll put the menu down there." And that's about it. There were so few games that did anything other than that.
I don't know. There's been no sign that NSO tests they did last year, there was no signs with that going to, like, DS or 3DS games. Man, I wonder if
I
it
don't
would
think they
be.
would put DS on NSO yet. I think we're still like 10 years away from the value of those games being something that would be on a subscription service, versus what Nintendo could sell re-releasing them.
Is there any, because we will see 3DS games, on the Switch 2, because the Switch 2 is gonna be out for a long time. Is there any
As
value.
re-releases, I agree, yeah,
Yeah,
like Luigi's Mansion 2 and,
that exactly where I'm
a
going.
few others, yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Stay right there with that. Is there any value with, if they incorporate a second screen, whether it's you only a second screen, that's it, you just buy it, like, for example, when you had a GameCube and you bought, you bought the screen that went on top of it. I don't think that was a Nintendo product. Anyways, but is there any value to, like, if you have Luigi's Mansion 2 for the Nintendo Switch, if the Switch 2 has dual screen functionality, now you can play it with a dual screen. Is that better? Or
I don't
yeah.
know, this isn't worth having an entire second accessory for, but it's worth thinking about, is there are games for the DS that required you to do get like certain gimmicks, push the screens together. It would be one example I can remember of, I think it's in Phantom Hourglass. Um, you had the map on the top screen and something on the bottom screen, and they wanted you to push them together. So you had to close your DS and then open it again. Um, and there's a couple of games that use a gimmick similar to that. So that's something that would be kind of hard to, um, you'd have to create a whole new element for that if you didn't have the 2 screens, but it's just something worth thinking about if we're gonna start bringing those games over.
I was thinking, like,
Also, the microphone too. Do we have a microphone in there? Because there were a few games you had to blow into the microphone for, now that I think of it.
I don't remember if the mock-ups had that, if anything we saw with the Switch 2 had it. I can't remember.
Hmm.
And that might be something too with having multiple USB ports
Mhm.
on there as well. I don't know what other kind of accessories. We could have a second USB port for a second screen as well. But again, it could just be like a phone holder for chatting with your friends and they make that better. But I wonder if there's any 3DS Link Between Worlds, any games like that that Nintendo will release on the Switch 2 for $60 and they'll say, um, buy this accessory. You can play it without the accessory, but if you want to play with a dual screen for $100, here you go. I don't know.
Or the reason I think, the rumors are that the screen is optional is maybe combine it with that other rumor, you can cast to the TV in handheld mode, so there's your second screen, and if you wanna take it on the go, now you need an optional second screen.
I can be convinced of anything. You know,
Yeah.
you like cloud
This is
sto
the fun time. This is the last month we're gonna be able to have these speculations because April 2nd, we're probably gonna know everything about the system. So, we got, like, 3 more weeks of this crazy speculation game going on, and then it's nope, they would if it was gonna do that, they would have told us, you know?
I disagree. We're already
You
talking
do?
about Metroid Prime 5. Come on.
Yeah, but I don't think we're gonna be talking after April 2nd about, specs for or, like, what we think they intend to make how they intend to have us play it.
We're gonna be bored. Like,
Yeah.
we're s there's still gonna be there's still go we're gonna they're gonna show us a presentation where afterwards we're gonna go, "That's cool, but what does that mean for da da da?" I don't know. I don't have an example for you. But yeah, you know,
We
we got
still don't know what that
short
C button does. That's all that matters. Once they tell us that, we'll know it all.
yeah, we got short attention spans. Like, as soon as we got Switch 2 news, we're moving right on to, like, Gen 10 Pokemon. You know, what are we getting a dual screen? Are we getting Game Pass? What's the Switch 3
Mhm.
gonna look like?
I mean, people are already talking about, like, what the is gonna look like on the Switch too, and I'm like, "You guys just got Tears of the Kingdom and Echoes of Wisdom. Like, calm down."
Well, that's the other thing, and then right after this, we're gonna get into the other big Nintendo IP, but, I mean, what if we get 3D Zelda in 2025, and then we have a lot to talk about. We have a lot to speculate then when it comes to that, and
It would be shocked if that happened. Not
and
saying it's impossible, but I would be shocked if the Zelda game, even in the 2nd year of the system.
and I'll say it now because I'll forget, um, since our last episode, of course, they did announce Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 for a summer
Mhm.
release. I couldn't be more excited about it.
Yeah, July 11th, which also makes me hope that the Switch 2 will be out by July 11th, and I can get it on that.
Right, so if it's we'll see how it goes, like, if Pro Skater I'm assuming if you buy it for one system, you have it for both, but I want to play it on the new system first. Like, that might be like, that might be, like, the first Switch 2 game that I play on there. It's not very often you get a top 10 game, like a personal game, get re-released. Pro Skater 4 is that for me. Never really thought it was going to happen. I couldn't be more excited about it. And a summer release of that game is gonna fit in so perfectly, uh, because it's a nice summer game, and I think we're gonna be really busy come the holiday season. That's all. That's all, of course. Let's talk about Mario Day. It is March 6th in America, so Mario Day is in 4 days. They announced some deals for Mario Day. Let's see. First one is a sweepstakes, Orlando Resort, 5 entries per day, 10 platinum points each. You can win 4 tickets to Universal Studios and see Nintendo World. There's that. For bundles, release a Mario's Wonder bundle, so it includes a Switch OLED, Mario Wonder, 3 months NSO, I think that's regular NSO, 349.99. Uh, Games that are $20 off include Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Super Mario RPG, Princess Peach Showtime, Mario Party Jamboree, which also includes a 3-month NSO membership for $60. I guess that's $20 off. I guess so. And before I hop into the 3D Mario speculations, is this the final big push we get for the Switch? Or is that
Yeah, well, they'll probably do sales at the holiday seasons, if you want to call that a push, but it's probably going to be the last thing. Although we'll probably have Switch 2 at holiday season. Yeah, so I don't know. It's tough to say. Tough to say. Um, you also have the fact that Mario's 40th is coming up in September. So could be doing I don't know. They love to play their cards close to the chest, so you never know with Nintendo. There are anniversaries they ignore, and anniversaries where all of a sudden like they did a 35th anniversary for Mario. Remember that? Like that's not a people normally celebrate 35 years, but they did. So it sounds like they're gonna do 40, but who knows?
I don't know how people celebrate 40. I just think about, like, the places that I work, they always roast you for being 40, as if that's an
Hmm.
old age or something, you know? Like, they hold up
Yeah.
they, like, hang up signs like, "Oh, look who's 40." It's like, that's not even old anymore. You know, like,
I
that's
mean,
like
we're getting ahead of ourselves, but Time Magazine has already put out a Super Mario 40th anniversary like special issue. So it's
yeah.
starting, not from Nintendo, but it's starting.
So that's definitely something. I can't believe
Yeah.
it's already been 40 years, considering we celebrated 35 years on the Switch, and the Switch was already, like, out for a few years by then. Like, it was it
Mhm.
was a console at that point. Very, very much so. Let's talk about 3D Mario, because that's the more fun part of this segment. Everyone's
Mhm.
speculating, including myself, 3D Mario in 2025, and that's just an easy that's like the easiest speculation that you can make. No 3D Mario in 8 years. It's about time to happen. New consoles coming
I think
out.
it's the longest gap the series has had between the major release.
I'm sure it is. It has to be. It has to be.
It has to
It
be.
has to
Yeah.
be because before, so if you go back 8 years before 2017, that's 2009, there was lots of releases. Go back before that,
Well, I remember
2001.
it's longer now than the gap between I think it was Sunshine. I looked this up the other day and now I forgot the games, but I think it's longer now than the gap between Sunshine and 3D World, which feels like a huge gap.
So that's, 4 games, right?
Let me
'Cause
fact check that real quick.
Sunshine, the Galaxy 2, 3D World. So, that sounds about right. 8 years. 3D World came out 2013, correct? I'd be totally wrong on
Yeah.
this.
So that would be 11 years. Never mind. So it was probably between Galaxy and 3D World. Still longer.
For a revolutionary system and only one 3D Mario game, that was surprising to, I think, most people, and including us. So,
Yep, I just checked it. So Galaxy came out, it's a 6-year difference. Galaxy came out in '07, and then 3D World was 13.
mhm,
So 6 year.
with a whole game in between that. Yep.
Mhm.
So, let's speculate the next 3D Mario, which we assume comes out this year. Gameplay twist. We got Cappy and Odyssey, uh, Flood, Sunshine, and then later games after that. Any mechanic, gimmick, anything with gameplay you're looking for in the new 3D Mario game?
They're never gonna do it, but the one that I see fans post all the time is I would love to see a Mario game where he travels to other Nintendo IPs, almost like a Smash Brothers type thing where, you see Mario do in a Metroid area, Mario in Hyrule, stuff like that, but that would just be like, that's pure fan fuel right there. I don't know, off the top of my head, I can't think of another gimmick because, it's every time you see them, you're like, "That's something I never would have thought of Cappy." You know, like, they're so imaginative at Nintendo with these things. I never would have thought of Flood. They barely thought of Flood because originally it was going to be like a hose. It wasn't going to be this whole, like, back attachment, so
Yeah. Yeah, it is just fuel for people like us. But, Mario Wonder, I didn't complete all of it, but Mario Wonder had at least a few moments where I was like, "Oh my god, I would have
mhm.
never expected that. This is amazing. This is magical." Um, there was a few parts in Mario Wonder that were like that for me. But that would be amazing if we had a 3D Mario game where Mario just blacked out and then you just heard like, "Mario, wake up," and he's in Hyrule.
Yeah.
Like, that would just be insane.
I think the gimmick they're gonna use, and I know I'm not the first one to say this, but we saw them demoing it, with, Bowser's Fury is I really do believe the rumors of this being an open world Mario game, um, which is funny because a few years ago, after Bowser's Fury came out, but still a couple of years ago, I was playing Mario Sunshine on the 3D All-Stars collection, and I was like, "Mario Sunshine has the the groundwork for an open world Mario game because from each area, you can see the other areas, you just can't travel to them, but they have them, like, in the background there." So, I'm like, they were kinda building that type of world going all the way back to Sunshine. So I would really like to see that. I would really like to see the idea in Bowser's Fury expanded upon and combine that with the gameplay mechanic in Odyssey of how, like, basically every time you turn a corner, you're getting a moon. Put 1,000 moons in this open world game because that's what rewards exploration. So if you wanna have an open world game, you gotta that's how Zelda did it with the Koroks, and you could do it with Mario with the stars and the moons. You have to reward exploration, otherwise don't even do an open world, there's no point.
That's my prediction. My prediction is that we see a 3D Mario game that looks closer to Bowser's Fury. I think that
Mhm.
was perhaps in the future we'll view Bowser's Fury as like a test game for what future 3D Mario games might be. I wonder if they incorporate the 2D, 2.5D mechanics the same way they did in Odyssey, because that was the biggest standing out point for Odyssey, when I played through it, is that they just incorporated so much different so many different graphics, art styles. We see it
Mhm.
on our screen right now, like, um just that was very unexpected when I had played through it. So I wonder if it's going
Yeah,
to
and
be
the only criticism I have for Odyssey, because I love that game, it might be my favorite Mario game. The only criticism I have is there's no hub world. I really don't like that little line bar they did at the bottom of the screen with just, like, each world on a list. So, open world would solve that for sure.
right, and I can see something like Bowser's Fury being like that, because I never found like, that world never feels that big. It never, like, compared to, like, Breath of the Wild, of course. But it never feels that big, but I think having an open world just solves all those problems automatically. And
Well, I
then
think it was basically it was small because it was an add-on as a way to sell 3D World again, and it's also small because it was basically them just testing if this concept even works of, "Hey, can you have Mario in all these different areas, but they're connected? Like, does it even make sense?" So, I think there's very few shine cats or whatever they call them you get in that.
Well, yeah,
So I
whatever it's
don't
called. Yeah, it's a very goofy
yeah.
game. It's awesome. I if I have time this year, Imma play it again. So, yeah, yeah, I mean, last speculation, co-op online. Could we see a strong online component to a 3D Mario game? You know, online co-op, get on, play with your friends. I don't know. I don't know, but
They haven't
I
done it yet.
you're welcome.
They've been trying to do it with the new Super Mario Brothers games, then they improved it a little bit with Wonder, but they still don't really have the definitive multiplayer Mario game that isn't like a party game or a sports game.
Speaking of which, how about a dark Mario game? Because that's what I've been waiting for years. I know Paper Mario, I guess, has some maybe some dark themes to it, but, like, what if we had, like, a straight, like, vigilante Mario game? Like, there are definitely some very, like, more adult themes you could experiment with in the Mario universe if you wanted to, right?
Well,
There's plenty of that.
I know we keep talking about Sunshine, but I actually remember when Sunshine came out thinking that opening was dark for a Mario game. It's not dark, but like I remember being like, wait, Mario's arrested and now he's in prison and now he's on trial. I was like, this is kind of a lot for a Mario game.
Well, I feel the same way about Yoshi's Island. Wait, not Yoshi's Island,
Mhm.
Kirby, the one where Baby Mario gets abducted.
That's Yoshi's Island.
Yoshi's
No.
Island.
Yeah, Yoshi's Island.
Yeah, Yoshi's
It is.
Island. Yeah, yeah. Yoshi, Kirby,
You had me questioning it.
I
Super
like
Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island in the United States.
yes, 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 the title threw me off, I guess. Well, yeah, anyways, but, like, that to me was always dark. It's like, it's not like, "Oh, go find the princess." It's like, "No, we stole your baby." To me, that was always a little bit more dark. Or, hey, first person Mario, I welcome it. First first person 3D Mario, so you're Mario yourself. They would never do it, I don't think, because you wanna see the Mario character on your
No, but
screen.
you were talking about, like, different, art styles earlier. That could be I could certainly see them doing it for, like, a star or 2 where, like, hey, for this one, like, the camera goes into his hat and you're playing first person, like, that could happen.
In Mario Wonder, if that happened, I would have thought, "Sure," like, because there's so many parts of that game that it kinda stood out like that, and it was also, like, Mario Wonder had a thing where, like, you went into that other dimension, so I could easily
Yeah.
see myself just getting, like, the camera zooming all the way into, like, Mario's face, and then you're, like, looking down, you're seeing, your hands for the first time. I could see that for, like, a level or a star or something, maybe not a whole game. God, that'd be awesome. Alright, we're at 52 minutes, let's talk about some not Mega Man, not some Mega Man for today. Mega
Yeah,
Mans?
so this week we're shining a spotlight on some Mega Mans. The Game Boy Mega Man 3, Mega Man 4, and Mega Man 5, which rounds out our coverage on Game Boy Mega Mans. Um, and yeah, so these were the rest of the Game Boy Mega Mans. Uh, they were much better than the others, in my opinion. Mega Man 3 came out December 1992 in North America and Japan. Same release. Mega Man 4 came out October 93 in Japan and December 93 in North America, so only off by a couple of months. And then Mega Man 5 came out in July 94 in Japan, September 94 in North America, again just a few months apart. So, yeah, these first thing I'm going to say, I have a very big compliment for these games. I feel like at the time, and kinda still, for NES era and Super Nintendo is out, I'll cop to that, yes, it came out in '91, so the Super Nintendo is out, but we still have people who haven't gotten one yet. So, for Mega Man 3, NES era, I feel like this is the closest they came to having the console experience on the Game Boy for any series. Like, Mega Man 3 is really close to playing Mega Man on NES.
I think so. And I was trying to think back because I get lost in the Mega Man games. Like, man, like 92, 93. They're just cranking these out. They just boom, boom, boom. Do you think there's a difficulty jump between 10 and 3, or can you remember? 'Cause
For the Game Boy ones?
yeah, yeah, D is much more difficult than 2, or a little bit more difficult, or any opinion on that? Because the differentiation when trying to review these games and trying to present them in a way in this podcast that it was interesting, a bit of a struggle this week to just
I
find unique things to say about each one.
I feel like Mega Man 3 and yeah, that's why we grouped them together, I agree. They're very, like I can't really talk about differences between them too much. There are some, but, uh, they're grouped together because this is gonna be a discussion of all 3 of them. But as far as difficulty goes, I feel like Mega Man 3 is kind of cut in half, whereas the first half of the game is a little more difficult because it was the first game to incorporate the charge shot for the Game Boy series, which, by the way, in Japan, they name these a little better because here we have Mega Man 3. They're the same name, different games. Uh, in Japan, the Game Boy games were called Rockman World. So these should have been Mega Man World or maybe even Mega Man Land. Continue with their tradition of making the Game Boy games land for some reason. Um, but yeah, so the first half of Mega Man 3, I feel like is a little bit more difficult because it's the first game that incorporates the charge shot, but there's not really any places where the game design is designed around having that charge shot because it's mostly based off the Mega Man 3 levels, the NES Mega Man 3. And then halfway into the game, when you hit that second round of Robot Masters, it switches to Mega Man 4 design, and that had the charge shot in mind, so the levels are kinda designed around it, so it's like Mega Man has the mechanics of Mega Man 4 in Mega Man 3, and the gameplay isn't always designed around that, and I think that does make the beginning feel you would think it would make it easier, now that I'm saying it out loud, to have the charge shot in a game that wasn't designed for it, but it really does like, his whole move set doesn't fit that first half of the game, in my opinion.
And then in 4, apparently it's the only game that features a kickback on a fully charged shot because it's not in Mega Man
Mhm.
5 and not in the later games. So in 4, if
Yeah,
you do a fully
if
charged.
anything, because I love the Mega Man series, and I feel like if anything, the charge shot, um, becomes more powerful in the later games. It takes less time to fully charge it, and it seems like it destroys more things, and there's no kickback at all. So, yeah, that was really interesting. I didn't remember that when I played it, that you were gonna have a little bit of a little push.
We get subtle changes. I mean, these games are being released less like 10 months, about 10 months apart from each
Mhm.
other, 3, 4, and 5. So we see like subtle changes, perhaps subtle improvements. The thing that I would welcome more with these games is story, and doesn't matter though. Is what I want to know from you is
Mhm.
that does does the story matter in these games? Because that for sure would help me, again, differentiate between, like, oh, if I look at a game, what is 3, what's 4, what's 5?
So the Mega Man games have always had, even including the NES ones, a rough time getting their story across, and I think they come from a different era of game where it's sort of similar to the game we talked about last week, the original Metroid. That also had this where the majority of the story was in the instruction manual, and it's not conveyed as much in the gameplay until you get to Mega Man 4, I feel like Mega Man 4 is a bigger leap forward for the series than most people give it credit for. They really went all out in making sure the story was coming across in that game. They have like cutscenes and they had cutscenes in the series beforehand, but they're not as clear as these are. But the story is vague at best in most games. Like it's like you're never really sure why Wily is back. You're never really sure unless you read every bit of text that's thrown at you. You're not going to be able to just kind of casually follow it. You're going to have to pay very, very close attention if you want to get what's going on. And I would say even the first 3 games don't even try in the game itself to tell you the story. They give you a little bit of text at the beginning, then they give you, like, 15 levels, and then they give you a little bit of text at the end, and that's it. Um, it's not until 4 where the story feels like they're even trying to show it to you in the game.
These games have been ported at least as much or more than any games that we've, reviewed on here, and,
Mhm.
one that I found that I never knew about is that, um, Mega Man 3, and this is the NES version, but it was ported to the Super Nintendo by use of flash cart by a man named Infidelity, and I had no idea that, flash cart ports were so popular in the Super Nintendo community.
I
Th
had
they're
no
just
idea, no.
there so many the gaming community there's so many gamers out there. It's just so massive. Like, there's so many sub communities that I learn about that have, like, thousands of people in them, like, decent
Interesting that he
size.
chose 3 because that's by far my least favorite.
I think he's on all of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's doing 5 right now.
3
There's
is the one that was, very rushed. They literally made that I could be wrong about this, but I remember hearing something like they put that entire game together in a little over a month. It's super rushed. Um, it's the only one where the rock, paper, scissors pattern of the bosses is interrupted. You have to do, like, these 4 and then these 3. They're, like, sliced. So, yeah, it's, 3 is not 3 is my least favorite of the NES classics.
Oh, I checked his Twitter last night, and I think he's working on 5 right now. And so if you wanna
5's good.
if you got a flash card, you wanna experience, like, the NES Mega Man on Super Nintendo, it looks really nice. I watched some YouTube videos on it, and the
Is it
graphics
still, like,
too.
NES visuals, or did he
It looks brighter to me. It kinda looks like yeah, like, if you were to port NES over to
Hmm,
SNES, it just looks a little bit more vibrant to me. So
okay.
So that that's interesting, and then, yeah, I mean, they have these games on mobile, they have them on Steam, they have them pretty much everywhere, and,
I don't think the Game Boy ones are in a collection, though.
Mega Man 5, I don't know how many this is September 1994 for Game Boy. I don't know how many carts were sold for this, or maybe they weren't sold that many in North America. But the cheapest I saw on eBay last night was like $150, and that's not including that's just the game, that's just the card. But, like, ones that look new in box could be, like, up to, like, 1,000, at the highest, so I don't know how rare Mega Man 5 is and
Well,
sell well.
they haven't been put in a collection yet, and this is the episode where we do a lot of live research, more than normal. Um, and I'm seeing here that, there was a lost build of a canceled Game Boy Advance compilation that was supposed to come out in 2003, which would have coincided with the Mega Man Anniversary collection we got on GameCube. That one collected all the console Mega Man games, and this would have been the 5 Game Boy Mega Man games on a Game Boy Advance cart. Apparently it was canceled though. There's a whole article here about it. Oh, it looks like they improved the visuals too, because this is all in color. So yeah, Lost Media Wiki has a whole article on this anniversary collection that was canceled. They got box art and everything.
Very interesting. So that was Game Boy Advance. I know 3DS Virtual Console had these. Uh,
Mhm.
so
But individually,
yeah,
yeah.
individually. no collections. And, yeah, Mega Man 5, I think, is a pretty rare game because it's hard to find physically.
I'll
I
keep
don't
my
know.
eye out for it.
I guess if you're a collector, that's, like, one of your favorite games, or it's the best.
Well, if you wanna slide into rankings, it was my favorite of the Game Boy games, I was gonna say so far, but this is all of them. So, yeah, it was my favorite of the Game Boy games. I ranked it the highest. I ranked them all together because, like we said before, there's not really much different about them, but in the little slight differences, I didn't like the kickback that you mentioned for Mega Man 4, so I ranked that one the lowest. And, they're number 37, 38, and 39 on my list, 5, 3, 4. They're right between the Sega Genesis Ghouls and Ghosts and the Game Boy Mario Golf. So now I have 4 Game Boy games in a row on my list.
And I think we all ranked these together. I did as well. Mega Man 3, 85. Mega Man 4, 86. Mega Man 5, 87. And these I rank these all above the other Mega Man games, just right above them. So they're all the Mega Man games are pretty close together. Ranked
Yeah.
low, but we're getting into this territory where, like, my top 90 or so games are at least games I would recommend. So, who would you recommend
Yeah,
these
it's
games to? Yeah.
I was just gonna say, it's very rare that I hardly ever sit down and say, like, "I wanna play Mega Man 5 right now," or "I wanna play Mega Man 4." If I'm in the mood for Mega Man, I literally just because there's so many collection options now and I have that collection on my Switch, anytime I wanna play Mega Man, I start at 1 and I just go through the series. So, it's so hard to differentiate them. Um, that said, I would obviously recommend these to anyone who likes Mega Man, anyone who likes platformers, anyone who wants to see a great example of an NES game ported to the original Game Boy. Again, I think this is one of the best examples of because look at compare Super Mario Land to this. And I know there's years of difference in development there, but I guess you could compare Wario Land, Super Mario Land 3 to this. That would be more close, but even that doesn't seem like that game was like a home console game. It seems like a Game Boy game. These seem like the NES games put on the Game Boy, and they match really well. So, obviously, if you like the NES Mega Man games, they're for you. Uh, yeah, I would definitely recommend them to anyone who likes retro video games in general.
I think so too. If you wanna play Mega Man, just play them all. It's not that long. They're difficult, so it could be long.
Spin a wheel, put them all on a wheel, spin it, and play that Mega Man because
Yeah.
they're all of roughly the same quality. They all have their pros and cons. So, yeah, just don't play Mega Man 3.
And last fact that I'll include, Mega Man 5 was the last, 8-bit Mega Man we see until Mega Man 9 in 2008. It's the last time we
Ah, so
see.
many thoughts on Mega Man 9 too. I don't like that they kinda regressed the series with that one, that they went back to Mega Man 2 on the NES mechanics where you pretty much just jump and shoot. They took away the slide, they took away the charge shot, and it was just very, like I wanted a new Mega Man game so bad back then, and then they put it out, and I was just like, "Why? Why did they bring it back to this?" So Mega Man 10 did not do that, and then Mega Man 11, I feel like moved the series forward, so neither here nor there. I play all the classic Mega Mans, love them. Keep them coming.
Yeah.
Where's Mega Man 12? Let's get it.
Out of all the ninth installment games there have been in history, that is by far the worst.
Really?
I don't I'm joking. I can't even think about that many ninth installment games right
Yeah.
now.
First one that comes to mind, the first 2
Final
are
Fantasy.
Dragon Quest 9 and Final Fantasy 9. Both are pretty good. Um, yeah, there's not a lot of numbered series that get up to
That's
9.
what I'm trying to
Usually they start a subtitle after 3.
that's what I'm trying to say. I'm
Yeah.
the I'm sure the Air Bud movies are up to 9 by now. I'm sure Beethoven is up to 9. I'm gonna keep naming movies of dogs until you cut me off. So let's no randomizer this week. Isn't that right?
Yep. Yep, we're doing the soccer game there.
All right, listeners. Well, scan that QR code. You can find all of our links there. Give us a 200 on YouTube. Let's grow this one by one. And again, if you're a new listener, thanks so much. Leave us some feedback. Tell us what you want to hear on this show because we'll do whatever. Do you want 5 hours of Zelda content? Don't tempt us. We'll do it. We will do
And
it.
if you like Mega Man and you like the number 9, tell us your thoughts on Mighty Number 9. I don't know if you know, Harrison, that was like the original Mega Man creator made, basically a Mega Man game that wasn't Mega Man called Mighty Number 9.
Did it release?
Yeah, it was like it was a crowdfunded game, and it plays exactly like a Mega Man game. It's exactly a Mega Man game, he just changed everybody's names.
That's
So there's the
dedication.
8 robot masters, and then the main character is number 9, Mighty Number 9.
Hmm. Okay. All right. Well, I had nothing else to say. I hope everyone has a great week.
We'll see you next time here, Nintendo Therapy. Just keep in mind we're Nintendo fans, not Nintendo experts. We probably got stuff wrong. Contact us, like Harrison said. Leave comments down below. Tell us what you thought of Mighty Number 9. I know it was a very divisive game. Some people did not like it. I feel like with crowdfunded games, um, some people refuse to see flaws in them because they're like, I invested money in this game, so I will not see anything wrong with it. But yeah, let us know below.
So we just finished recording Nintendo Therapy episode number 111, and Kevin just told me we have some breaking news. I don't know what it is. What is it?
So breaking news, this was announced while we were recording, is we've talked about this game coming and it's coming to Switch Online. Donkey Kong 94 and Mario's Picross are both being added to the Game Boy service. So the lesser tier, which the lower tier, not expansion pack. They've been adding a lot of expansion pack games lately, but I think Game Boy's on the regular tier. So yeah, some Game Boy games added on there. Game Boy, by far, one of the most supported services on Switch Online, but we with Donkey Kong 94 said back in the day, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when, and now it's there. So, yeah, big news. That's a big game. Everybody recommends people play it, so I recommend people play it. Join in that bandwagon.
And we got both Mario Picross games, or at least the first two,
Yep.
however many there
Now I'll
are.
have to group them together in the randomizer.
We already did the first one. Yeah.
Oh,
So
there's no okay, I thought there were more. Alright,
or is
guess
there
not
more?
then.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Maybe
there's more in the franchise. Well, cool. Okay, more Donkey Kong, more Mario to on NSO, and we just wanted to add that on because we figured that in a week from now we might not get to it. So hey, why not?
yeah.
Little fun bonus segment. All right. See you later.